In the late 1960s, Egypt was a nation quietly grieving. The optimism of the post-revolution years had collapsed almost overnight. In June 1967, the Six-Day War ended in a devastating defeat for Egypt and its allies. What followed was not only military loss, but psychological trauma. For many Egyptians, the war shattered confidence in leadership, stability, and the future itself. Cairo, a city that never truly sleeps, carried a different weight after the war. Soldiers returned home in silence. Families gathered around radios, not for music, but for news and speeches. President Gamal Abdel Nasser addressed the nation, attempting to steady a people who felt humiliated and uncertain. His words were strong, but the streets told another story. Economic hardship spread quickly. Inflation rose. Jobs became scarce. Electricity outages were frequent. In working-class neighborhoods, people learned to live with less. Less food, less certainty, less hope. At night, many families sat outside their homes or climbed two rooftops to escape the heat and the heavy air of worry pressing down on them. Religiously, Egypt was and remains deeply spiritual. Muslims and Christians lived closely together, often sharing the same buildings, markets, and daily routines. Faith was not a private affair. It was woven into life. Importantly, the Virgin Mary held a unique place in Egyptian culture, known as Maryam in Islam. She was honored and respected across religious lines as a pure and holy woman. During this time of national pain, people prayed more, not necessarily for miracles, but for relief, for peace, for something to change. No one was looking for a supernatural sign. No one expected history to interrupt an ordinary Cairo night. And yet, in a quiet district called Zeitoun, far from political centers and tourist landmarks, something began that would defy explanation and draw the attention of the world. Zeitoun was an unremarkable district in northeastern Cairo. It was home to bus depots, worker housing, and modest apartment blocks. Along Tomon Bay Street stood the Church of St. Mary, a simple Coptic Orthodox church, built only a few years earlier. It was not known for miracles. It was not a pilgrimage site. Most people passed it without a second glance. On the evening of April 2nd, 1968, the church was closed. There were no services scheduled. The street outside was dimly lit, busy in the way Cairo's streets always were. Buses rumbling past, mechanics finishing their shifts, workers heading home. Shortly after nightfall, several Muslim workers from a nearby bus garage noticed something strange. They saw a figure standing on the roof of the church near the central dome. At first, they assumed it was a woman attempting suicide. Alarmed, they shouted to one another and called for help. As people gathered, something became immediately clear. The figure did not move like a human. She did not stumble. She did not fall. She did not react to shouts from below. Instead, she seemed to glow. The light was soft, white, and steady. Unlike electric lighting, it did not flicker. It did not blind. It simply existed. The woman appeared calm, dignified, and silent, standing above the church as if unaffected by gravity or fear. Police were called. Officers arrived, expecting a dangerous situation. Instead, they found themselves staring upward in confusion. Some witnesses instinctively began to pray. Muslims whispered the name Maryam. Christians crossed themselves. No one reported hearing a voice. No message was spoken. After several minutes, the figure slowly faded from view. Authorities immediately suspected a hoax. Electricity to the area was cut. Street lights were turned off. The church roof was searched thoroughly. No equipment. No projectors. No explanation. Word spread through Cairo at astonishing speed. By the next night, thousands would return, not because they believed, but because they needed to see for themselves. On April 3rd, 1968, the streets of Zeitoun filled again, this time with expectation. Skeptics stood beside believers. Journalists arrived with cameras. Families brought children. Muslim clerics and Christian priests waited quietly among the crowd. Then, without warning, the light returned. This time, there was no confusion. The figure appeared clearly above the domes of the church luminous. Graceful, unmistakably feminine. She stood in silence, her presence calm rather than dramatic. At times, witnesses said she seemed to move slowly, as if walking across the rooftops. At other moments, doves made of light appeared, circling gently before dissolving into the night sky. The crowd did not panic. There was no shouting. Instead, a deep stillness settled over the streets. Tens of thousands watched together, experiencing the same sight at the same time. What made Zeitoun extraordinary was not belief, it was scale. This was not a private vision, not a single witness. Entire crowds saw the same figure simultaneously. Night after night, the apparitions continued intermittently for over 3 years, from 1968 to 1971. Police remained on duty permanently. Streets were closed. Medical teams documented claims of healing. Photographs and video footage were captured grainy, imperfect, yet undeniably real. The Egyptian government, wary of unrest, monitored the situation closely and ultimately found no evidence of deception. Muslims and Christians prayed side by side. No sermons were preached. No commands were given. The figure never spoke. Some people reported physical healings. Others described emotional peace after years of despair. Many simply stood in silence, feeling that something beyond explanation had visited them. Eventually, the lights stopped appearing. The Coptic Orthodox Church formally recognized the apparitions as genuine. International media reported the events. Skeptics proposed theories: mass hallucination, psychological suggestion, atmospheric phenomena. Yet none could explain years of consistent, shared sightings across belief systems. Today, the Church of St. Mary in Zeitoun remains a place of quiet reverence. No prophecy was delivered. No warning issued. Only a presence silent, luminous, and unforgettable. And for many who stood beneath that Cairo sky, history did not end with answers. It ended with a question.